Hey everybody, I'm Dominic Beege, and the reason we're making this video today is we want to tell the story of Charlie's Salsa. And I'm sitting here with the original owners of Charlie's Salsa, Chuck and Cheryl Sears. And I just thought it'd be really a great idea for Chuck to tell his story, and because you guys all asked, how did Charlie's get started? So, Chuck, you want to just tell your story, how you got going on making salsa?
Okay, I'll try. I started out by growing my own tomatoes, and I would give Cheryl her share of it. And when she got finished with her canning, then I would take the rest of them, maybe have to add a few from one of the grocery stores. And I had some peppers in the yard that I grew. That was the start of Charlie's Salsa. I put it in a pot and cooked it overnight in those days.
Added a whole bunch of other stuff.
Added a whole bunch of other ingredients. And what I wanted was a salsa that I could use for more than just a salsa. So that's why you had the barbecue flavor. I put a few ingredients of barbecue sauce in with the salsa, and I decided I liked it.
You mentioned you wanted a cooking salsa.
Yes, yeah. Yes. So I had a salsa that I could use as both a barbecue sauce and a salsa.
And how long did you play with that formula till you finally got a flavor profile that you liked?
First time.
First time, really?
First time.
Wow.
Is what the difficulty came when we decided to bottle it. And that was, then I had to play around and measure things out, and I never measured before. So
you're just making it to taste?
Yeah. I used to make it by taste. Always the same for the years that I did it. And then, we gave it away for gifts to different friends and family.
And finally they convinced you that you needed to go out.
They kept hammering at us, market this, market this. And finally, we did.
How many years were between inventing the formula and then before you got your first store?
Oh,
I think it was probably 5-10 years.
Oh, wow, so quite a while.
No. You mean from the time you made it at home?
Yeah, until we finally decided to market it. It was 5 or 10 years. And then we discussed it. And my wife sat down and started doing all of the paperwork. She's a good paper worker.
Yes, she is.
And we decided, well, okay, we borrowed, I think it was $5,000 from ourselves, or $1,000 from ourselves.
Right, to start with.
To start with, and spent that $1,000, bang, it was gone.
Yeah.
And found a store that would take us, and it was a Growers Outlet, 162nd in Gleason, our very first outlet.
And it's still there.
Still there.
It's still there.
That was in 1993.
1993. Yeah. That's good to know.
And they've been carrying us all the way, and they were happy to let us come in there and do demos. And
so that first batch you made for storage, did you make it here at the house, or did you go some down to the Food Innovation Center, or where did that first batch
we had a kitchen.
Okay.
Commercial kitchen down there.
Yeah, what was her name? I don't remember.
Janet.
Yeah, Janet something. But she was willing to work with us, and
she actually taught us. How to do the measurements and what was required for bottling, and
made it sort of street legal.
Yes, yeah. She really helped us a whole lot. If it weren't for her, I don't know how long it would have been to be able to figure it all out.
Yeah, it's tricky, a lot trickier than most people think, isn't it?
Right. Instead of measuring with teaspoons, you're measuring with weights.
Yeah. And when you did your label design, what was the thinking, creative process? Did you use that one gal?
Our son went to school with a young man who went into graphic design, and he was working for nickel ads.
Okay.
And he really liked the salsa, so we looked for free, logos and stuff on internet. Couldn't come up with anything, so we gave it to him. And he came up with the logo.
The caricatures.
The caricatures and everything on there, and we loved it, and so we went with that.
Nice.
And then we went to, I think it was Craftsman Label, or a friend of mine that was in Chorus, who did printing.
Yeah.
And she put together with, along with the barcode and everything, she put all that together. And that was just how we did it to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's super. And so you went from growers, and then you just started going out and building up a route and going store to store.
Then I just started going to different neighborhood stores to begin with, meat markets, any place I could get into.
Yeah. What would you say? What was what was your spiel?
I just set the jar in front of them and said, "Try this."
Yeah, he said, leave it in your employee workroom, you know, and see how
give
they
them a
like
jar
it. And if they like it, give me a call. We can get it in here for you.
And that's pretty much what happened. I remember, you might get a kick out of this story. I was driving around trying to find stores, and the first chain store that we ever got into was Thriftway in Scappoose.
Okay.
And I just went in there on a lark.
And I cold call.
Yeah. Put the jar down in front of the manager, and I said, "Try this." He tasted it, and he said, "Where can I find this?" And I said, "With me." And he said, "Well, I'll take some." Yeah. And, you know, it was very fortunate, because that's the way most all of the store managers were doing.
Yeah.
They were just...
well, there were a lot of independents in those days.
Yeah.
So
independents are always good about that.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of a dying breed, but they
Well,
still have that attitude. It's kind of nice, and so...
So we ended up we went from one store to, what, 250 when we finally...
when Dominic bought us out.
Yeah, and it was great. It's a great little business. That's what interested me. And the fact that you had it for 14 years at that point, and, you know, that tells me that people like it. They didn't buy it because you were cute.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
they bought it because it was a good salsa, you know, and people kept rebuying it, and that's what interested me. That's why I was very enthusiastic about purchasing it and taking over the legacy.
That's the humbling part, too.
Yeah, it always is.
And you're doing a good job now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I want everybody to know the story out there, and maybe we'll do another one of these things on another topic to add to the website. So,
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.